Hey there, what's going on? Welcome to project 28 of 100 web project series. My name is Payenda, and this video revolves around creating a simple Tic Tac Toe game using only HTML, CSS and Vanilla JavaScript. So this is what we are going to be building throughout this entire video. You can see at the very top right here, there is the header indicating whose turn it is. In this case, the game starts by default with player 1's turn, and then down below right here we have the board. And if I hover on each of these individual cells, you can see this cross sign indicating this is cross turn. I can make a move, and there's an audio attached to that which gets played whenever we are making a move or clicking anywhere. And then now you can see that the turns are swapped. Now it's player 2's turn, and also the hover is changed to a circle. Earlier it was a cross, and now if I hover in here, you can see this stop or not allowed cursor right here, which states that I'm not allowed to hover here or make a move in this cell, by the way. So that's what we're going to be handling that through JavaScript. And now I can make another move. Let's make a win. There we go. It gets highlighted, says player 1 won, and after 2 seconds this overlay is going to pop up with 2 buttons. So when I hover over this, there's also this nice hover effect for these buttons too. So I have the choice whether to quit the game. In this case, if I quit, this tab is going to get closed, and then if I hit restart, then it's going to restart the game. And also it can be a tie as well. For instance, let's say let's make a move here. There we go, it is a tie. So in case if there is a tie, all of these cells get highlighted, and then again it says game is over, and you can see it's kind of transparent, but you can probably read that it is a tie, game over. Okay, so without any further ado, let's dive right into it. Here I already have my code data opened. We have a bunch of files. This is the click.mp3 audio and also gameover.mp3. This is going to get played whenever we are making a move, and game over is going to get played only when there is a draw, when there is a tie, or when there is a win. Okay, so I'm going to start off from scratch creating the index.html file. Okay, so I'm going to create the HTML boilerplate by adding that exclamation mark right there. If you have image installed, this is going to do that by default. So then Tic Tac Toe game, this is going to be the title, and right here I'm going to also link this with a style.css file, and also I need to link this with the script.js file, and also make sure to add diff right here so it makes sure that the script files are gonna load when the entire DOM is loaded. Alright, so down below right here we're gonna write the HTML for this game. This is gonna be Tic Tac Toe game, and then down below right here we're gonna have 9 cells. Okay, and then for the message, again there's gonna be a div with a class of message and an ID of message, and the text by default is gonna be player 1's turn. Okay, and then for the overlay, I'm gonna go down here, create a class of overlay, and then it's gonna have an ID of overlay, and then down below right here we're gonna add a div, and here I'm gonna add an h1 states game over with 3 exclamation marks, and then down below right here I'm gonna create a div with a class of buttons-grid, which is going to be a wrapper for both of our button, which is the restart and the quit button. So I'm going to create a button, this is the tag of button, a class of button, and the button-restart within an ID of button-restart. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter, and then right here I also want to add those font awesome icons too. Okay, so in this case, if a-sync, I have them memorized on top of my head. Fairly simple. If a is font awesome, if a-sync, that's going to create that icon of refresh. Okay, so I'm going to say restart, and then down below right here again the button tag, the button class, button-quit with an ID of button-quit, and then within that we're going to have another font awesome, which is going to be power-off, and there we go. So right here I can simply say that quit. Okay, save it. And there we go. So now if I run this in live server, so this is how it is going to look, but we're going to be fixing and make it look exactly as this one using CSS. Okay, so I'm going to go back in here into index.html. I also need to create the script.js file and also the style.css. So I'm going to create them real quick, style.css. And then down below right here I'm going to create a script.js file, and in style.css as usual we're going to do some basic configuration, basically starting with everything, and then before and also everything after. And then we're going to state that the box sizing is going to be border box. Just going to make sure that the border and the padding is included to an elements to the width and height. And then down below right here, I'm going to get the body, set the margin to, why is that not working? Here post CSS is the default. I'm going to change that to CSS. Now it should work. I'm going to set the padding also to 0, and also the font family. I'm going to use Montserrat, but you can use whatever font you want to. Oops, Montserrat. I have this already installed on my machine, so I don't have to import it from a Google font or anywhere. Alright, so I'm also going to display this as grid, so it makes sure that everything is in the center, and also place items to the center as well. Okay, let's add a minimum height of 100 vertical height, so it takes the entire height of the screen. Alright, so now let's deal with the board down below right here. Is going to be the board and also these cells. So, and if I just go back into index.html, you saw that we call this as Tic Tac Toe game. So I'm going to go right here and then paste that in. Then we're going to add for now just a background color of black. And then down below right here for all of those cells, we're going to select them, add a background color of white, and also I'm going to add a border for now, so you can see the color of that. I'm going to go with red for now, and then I'm going to specify a width of 135 pixels and similarly a height of 135 pixels as well. You can change this to rim if you want to, so I'm just going to get rid of that and set this to be width. Okay, and the extension, the VS Code extension I'm using for that is, if I type in pixel to rim, there you go. So this is the extension that I use, which can automatically change the pixel to rim. It's very handy in case of responsive designs. Okay, anyway, so this is the width and this is the height, and if I just go back in here, you can see that all these cells are on top of each other. I'm going to go back into index.html, just need to add an inline style right here for now, which is going to set the display to none for now, but later on we're going to remove that. Okay, so things are not cluttered. There we go. So now I'm going to go back into here. This is the parent element, so I want this to be displayed as grid and grid template columns, since we are going to have 3 columns side by side. So I'm going to say repeat 3 1 fr. There we go. So then if I just go back, you can see that there are a total of 9 cells with 3 columns and 3 rows with identical width and height. So I can just go back right here, get rid of this, or just add that, but right here I'm gonna add a gap of 0.75 rem. Okay, so now if I just go back, there we go, we just created the board successfully. And then right here I can get rid of the border from there, and that is it. So the board is created. Now we need to also style this header as well, so I'm just gonna go right at the very top right here. I'm gonna get the message, and then message it's going to have a padding of, let's say, 2 rem, or maybe that's too much, 1.75 rem. And then for the width, I'm going to calculate this weight as such that it's going to be identical to the width of this board right here. Okay, so in this case, as we can see, we have a total of 3 cells with 135 pixels of width, so I'm going to multiply that by 3, and then we have 0.75 rem, 2 of these gap right here, so I'm going to multiply that by 2 and add them both together. So the way we can do that is using the calc function, and that is basically we're going to get this one right from there and paste it right here. We're going to multiply this one by 3 and then add it with, we also have 0.75 rem of gap, and then multiply that with 2 and then save it. We're gonna also add a background color of light blue for this and a border radius of 0.5 rem. And if I just go back, you can see that the width of this header is exactly identical to the width of this board right here. I also need to text align them to the center and also boost the font size of that to something like, let's say, 3 rem, and save it. And then if I just go back, you can see that it states player 1 strong and it's looking exactly as we have right here. Okay, there might be just a little bit of difference in font size. Anyway, so it looks exactly as that one. And now we are ready to go with the rest of the styling and adding actually the cross sign, then we're gonna add the circle, and also the classes necessary for the CSS hover effects too. Okay, so I'm gonna go back into here, flip back into index.html, and now I'm gonna hard code some of the other classes here. First of all, there's gonna be the cross circle, cross and then circle. So I'm gonna go into style.css, let's type in circle and then cross. Down below right here for the circle, b4, and also for the cross, b4. So there are a bunch of ways that we can create this cross sign and also the circle sign. You can use only HTML tags and CSS to create this, or you can use those HTML entities with Unicode characters. But right now we're going to be using Unicode characters. That's going to save a lot of time and is very handy for fast development. Okay, so we're going to go and flip back to here. So for the content of this, I don't have this one memorized, so I'm going to go into my snippets right here. You can see that I have a bunch of snippets right here. Also, I forgot to add that, so I will add it later. Then I'm gonna copy this cross Unicode character and then simply add it right here. There we go. So if I just go back right here into Tic Tac Toe game, you can see that it's added right here. We need to center it, boost its font size, and also add the cross, the circle content as well. So a circle, the b4, and the content of that one is going to be, again, I'm going to go to the snippets, copy this out and then paste it right here. All right, so let's just go back. Okay, let's see if I just, yeah, it is called as crinkle. That's supposed to be a circle. There's a typo. Now this should work. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go back into style.css. Let's boost the font size of this one to 3 rem, and then I'm gonna display this as flicks, then justify content to the center, align items to the center, and yeah, I'm gonna also add a height of 100%, so it's gonna take the entire height, and now it's also in the center as well. Let's also bump this up to 4 rem so it looks exactly as the one in the demo. Alright, so we created this spot successfully, and now it's the time for this hover effect as well. So for that, I'm gonna add some other classes right here, in this case circle-hover, and also down below right here, I'm gonna add cross-hover. So circle-hover and cross-hover, they are basically going to be these two with a little bit of opacity and make it grayscale. So the way we can do that is that I'm gonna go back into style.css, I'm gonna add a comma, and then let's just duplicate these two lines down below right here, get rid of this one, and then for the circle and the cross, we're gonna add -hover. Okay, it's gonna basically get all the stylings from the one that we had here. Let's also add that one here as well, circle-hover :b4. And now if I just go back, you can see it looks exactly identical to the previous one with the class of cross and circle, but we're gonna make that different by adding another styling for this. In this case is gonna be circle-hover and also cross-hover, and then I'm gonna decrease its opacity to 0.3, let's say, and also filter grayscale to 100%. And if I just go back right here, whoops, I made a mistake. Actually, that is supposed to be for their b4 pseudo elements, in this case b4, and go back. There we go. So we added it successfully. All right, and if I just go to Tic Tac Toe, there you can see that the hover effect for this one and the one that we created right here, they are both identical. Okay, and now is the time for the overlay. So down here, I'm gonna comment overlay. I'm gonna get the overlay. First of all, I need to go to index.html, get rid of this style display to none. Also, as I said earlier, I forgot something, that I need to include this CDN, copy that out and paste that right here. Okay, so this is the CDN for the Font Awesome, or you can just head into cdnjs.com and search for Font Awesome, get this link, or just go to the official website and get this link. Anyway, this is gonna help you to add these stylings, which kind of really nice cool icons for restart and also for quit. Okay, so I'm just going to go back into style.css. I'm going to close this off and then position this one as fixed. From the top, set that to 0, and similarly for the left, we're going to set that to 0. From the bottom, 0, and then also from the right, set that to 0. We're gonna also add a background color of 0.8 with an alpha of 0.8 for that. Let's just see. This is how it's gonna look. We need to center this, change its color, and also style the buttons as well. So in order to center that, we can simply say display flex, justify content to the center, align items to the center, bump up its font size, in this case to 3 rem, and also set a color of kind of whitish color. Go back, there we go. This is how it is going to look. And now we also need to style that H1 that lives within the overlay. So basically that is going to have a margin bottom of like 0.5 rem, which is going to look a little bit nice. And then also I'm going to add a background color for this one. In this case only background. I'm going to use linear gradient to the right side. This is going to be the direction for that, starting from 3434, this dark color, all the way to a white color, and then we're going to go back to another dark color, which this 111 right here. And if I go back, you can see this is the background we added, but from what you saw in the demo, this background is going to be added to the text itself. So we can achieve that using CSS, simple as saying background clip, set that to text, and then right here we're going to use WebKit dash background clip. This is for compatibility, so we make sure this working across all the browsers, and set this to text as well. And we're going to say WebKit dash text fill color, and set this to be transparent. And then if I just go back, you can now see that game over is kind of looking amazing. Okay, so let's just go back right here, and now it's the time to also style those buttons there. So I'm gonna get the buttons dash grid. Let's just make sure the spelling is correct and we got everything set here. Buttons dash grid, this is called button restart, and button dash grid. Okay, so for the button dash grid, I'm going to display this as grid, and then also grid template columns, and let's say repeat 2 1FR. Okay, so 1 fraction and 2 columns, that is it. And now you can see these are 2 columns. We're going to now also style the buttons right here. In this case, I'm going to add a padding 0.75 rem and 1 rem, let's say. And also I'm going to add a border radius for this one, 0.5 rem. Go back to here. This is how it is going to look. And we need to also remove the border for that. Border, set that to none. Set this outline to none as well. And let's see, what else do we have to do? We also need to change their color. So again, I'm going to go to snippets. I'm just going to copy this one right from here, and then install the CSS. I'm going to paste it down below right here. Okay, so the button restart and the button quit, this is a linear gradient color. Basically, it's very simple. We are setting a direction to the right side and also this one to the right side. I just copy paste because I don't have these memorized on top of my head. Before creating the project, I figured out these colors and played with them, and now I'm just copy pasting them. So it starts with at 0% with this color, all the way to 51% at this color, and then 100% to this color. Okay, that should be very simple. So then if I just go back right here, now you can see this is the color that's created. We also need to include a little bit of gap between these two buttons, so they're a little bit separated. So right here I'm going to add gap of 1 rem, and if I just go back, that space should be added. Yeah, excuse me, this actually for the buttons dash grid. Go back, and there it is. You can now see that space is being added between both of these. We also need to bump up their font size, change their color, and also add that hover effect for both of these buttons. Okay, so let's do that real quick too. I'm gonna change this to kind of whitish color, bump up his font size to, let's say, 2.5 rem, and go back. Whoa, that looks too big. Maybe like 1.75 rem, and then go back. This is it. This is how it is gonna look. We also need to set a background size for that. Let's say 200% auto, and when let's just look at that real quick first. And there we go, it looks just amazing. And then button, whenever the button is hovered over, then we want to change its background position. In this case, I'm going to go all the way to the right side. Go back here, and then if I hover, you can see the reason is that I need to add a little bit of transition, like 5 seconds, 500 milliseconds is in and out. And this is like a very nice and cool hover effect for both of these. We also need to change the cursor type to be pointer. So there we go, we are done with the button and also the button hover. Everything is fixed, and now we need to just remove this from here right now and start with the JavaScript part. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to go back into overlay right here. I'm going to set a maximum height of 0 pixels. I know this is going to overflow, so down below right here, I'm going to just set the overflow to hidden. There we go, so now it is gone. It should be, yeah. And then also I need to just go all the way down up until here. I'm going to say overflow, overlay dot active. We're going to add this using JavaScript, maximum height of 100 vertical height, so it's going to take the entire height of the screen. All right, let's just go back. Nothing has changed. I'm going to go back into index.html, and now I'm going to just get rid of all these, okay, and then create that from scratch once again, so we only have the class of cell right here. That's it. So let's start with the JavaScript section. I also forgot to add the pointer cursor for all these cells right here, so let's just go back here, a quick change, cursor, and set this to be pointer. All right, so now for the JavaScript section, what we're going to be doing is that we're going to first get all the cells, in this case document.query selector all, and get all the cell. Okay, and then down below right here, we're going to say cells.forEach. In this case, it's going to rotate through each of these individual cells right here. Cell.addEventListener. We're going to hook an event listener to that, so whenever there is a click, it's going to call a function. And what this function does basically is going to get this class, this cell and its class list, and then it's going to add a class of cross here. Okay, so then if I just go back and click anywhere here, you can see that it adds that class of cross. But then if I just go back here and change this to a circle, let's say circle, and then save it, and if I just go back and click here, you can see that it adds a class of circle right here. Okay, so I'm gonna go and flip back right here, and now what we also need to do is to flip their turn. Now you can see if I click anywhere, it's only circle, but what we actually want that is that the tone should be swapped. Also, we need to change this text right here. All right, so as you can see, into index.html, we created this div with the class of message and state that is player 1's tone. So this is the current tone which belongs to player 1. So I'm going to go to script.js all the way up until here. I'm going to create a variable, let's call that as current tone, and set that to be player 1. Then save it. So, and once we added a class, let's say circle or cross, then down below right here, I'm gonna check if the current tone belongs to player 1. Okay, so if the current tone is player 1's tone, then I'm gonna set the current tone to player 2. And then down below right here, otherwise, we're gonna set the current tone back to player 1. There we go, save it. And for now, nothing is gonna be changed. Basically, we just need to actually change this hard-coded class to a dynamic class. And the way we can do that is using the help of this one right here. So again, I'm gonna create another function. Let's call that as current class, and then set that to be equal to current tone. If that is equal to, let's say player 1, then I'm gonna add a class of cross. Otherwise, it's gonna be circle. So either cross or circle is gonna be assigned to current class. In case if it's player 1's turn, it's gonna be cross. Other than that, it's gonna be circle. And then we need to just copy that out and then paste it right here. Okay, let's just go back and click, then we're going to click. Now you can see that the tones are swapped. Once we click, it's going to be a cross, then it is a circle. And then I'm going to just go back right here, and the next step what we're going to need to do is that we also need to change this text as well. So it says that player 2's turn or 1's turn and so forth. Okay, so for that we already created this div with an ID of message, so I'm going to use this ID right here. Let's say message, this document dot get element by ID, and then let's just get that message. And then down below right here I'm going to say simply, or probably right here, I'm going to say message dot inner text, and then I'm gonna again use these template literals here, current turn, and then here I'm gonna pass in current turn apostrophe s, and that is it. So this is simply going to state that whose turn it is. In this case I'm gonna click right here, and then it says that player 2's turn. Okay, let's just go to style.css all the way to the message section. We need to decrease the font size of that to 2.5 rem, so that's a little bit better. Okay, so now you click here, and then the turns is swapped. It says player 1's turn again, so you click there, it says player 2's turn, and everything is working just nice. Alright, so we did it up until this point, and now let's add the hover classes for this too. So when we are hovering in and hovering out, how do we handle that one? As you saw in the demo, we need to add these classes whenever we are hovering into here. Okay, so in order to add that, I'm just going to go back into here in my script.js file right here. First of all, there's one little thing before going to that part. I just remembered that I forgot to handle this one. You can see that if I click, I can override the existing moves, and that should not be a part of the game. That should be prevented somehow. Okay, so right here we can create another object and set once to true. So once we set this to true, we can only click any of these cells only once and not twice. There we go. You can see that I cannot click it again. Okay, so that's handled very nice. And now just in order to make this look a little bit clean, I'm gonna cut this off from here, and then I'm gonna create another function. Let's call that as action, and then down below right here I'm gonna paste that in. Whoops. Let's actually remove this one and this one too, then save it. Let's see. I'm then gonna copy this out and paste it right here and save it. Okay, now it's formatting. I was wondering why it's not formatting it. Alright, so let's just go back, make sure that we are not making any mistake. Okay, so this is working just nice. I'm gonna go back right here, and then we're gonna add 2 additional event listeners for these cells as well. And the first one, cell.add event listener, this one is gonna be mouse enter. Okay, and then I'm gonna call this as hover in. Okay, and then I'm gonna duplicate it down below, but this one is gonna be for mouse leave. And right here, this function is gonna be called as hover out. So whenever we are entering our mouse on any of these cells, that's when the mouse in event listener is gonna kick in. And whenever we are leaving these cells, that's when this mouse leave event is gonna kick in, and it's gonna fire either hover in or hover out depending on where is our cursor. Alright, so then down below right here I'm gonna create these 2 functions real quick, hover in, and then down below I'm gonna create the hover out function. Alright, so what hover in is gonna do is gonna get the current cell, and it's gonna add a class of, let's say, the current class for this one. In this case, let's just copy this out of there and paste it right here. It's going to be a little bit redundant code, not dry, but this could be a global variable anyway. For now, let's just add it right here. So it's going to just add the current class to that cell. And whenever we are hovering out, so basically what is this going to do is that it's going to get the current class, the class of it, and it's going to remove the class of cross, and this dot class list dot remove the class of circle from there. Okay, if they exist, you can even check it like this dot class list dot contains if it contains the class of cross, or this is double pipeline, this dot class list dot contains if it contains the class of circle, then we want to run these 2 lines of code. We're just going to remove the cross or the circle from here. Okay, let's just make sure we are making no mistake. Hover in. Oh, did I add the class of cross? Nope. Okay, so there's just small changes right here. From the style.css, you saw that it was actually circle hover and cross hover. So that should be actually one of those. So I'm gonna create this template literal right here, and then I'm gonna say current class and then dash hover. Okay, and also we need to just say that we want to also remove dash hover from here. Okay, so if it contains excuse me, if it contains cross hover or circle hover, it's gonna just remove those classes from there. Let's just see if it is working fine. I click here, I made a move, and then you can see I can even do another hover on this. That should be prevented as well. We're gonna do that real quick, but you can see this working really nice. The tours are being swapped and the hover effect is just working as expected. There we go. And now in order to prevent this, we just need a simple if condition right here stating that if this dot class list dot contains the class of cross, so if it contains the class of cross, which means that this one already existed, and then this dot class list dot contains the class of circle, then down below right here I'm going to say this dot style dot cursor and then set that to be not allowed. Okay, and then in the else section we're going to run this code right here. Whoops. Let's just save it and go back. There we go. Now click there, and then if I just hover back on there, it says that not allowed, and it's just working very nice. But look at this, there is one more problem. I hovered here, okay, I hovered, okay, but when I click there, okay, it is added, but still we are seeing that hover class right there. So basically what we have to do is that whenever we are clicking, we have to remove that class of circle hover or cross hover from there too. Okay, and the way we can do that is simply going to the this section right here and simply say this dot class list dot remove the class of, again I'm going to use template literal here, current class dash hover. Set this, might probably need to move that up a little bit, and now click. There we go, it's just working nice. Alright, so we are making really good progress so far, I think, and now the next step is that we're gonna have to check for a win. Okay, so in order to check for the win, we have to tell the computer somehow that combination of which cell is a win. In this case, we know that a combination of these 3 cells is a win, a combination of these 3 at the very top, at the very bottom, at the very left, and the very right side. These are all combination of a win. Similarly, the one in the middle. And how do we tell the computer that this is a win? So basically, in order to tell the computer, we have to create an array that within that we're going to include the cell index, the index of each of these one, and wrap them within another array stating that, hey computer, this is a win. And the way we do that, I'm going to just go to snippets right here, so you don't have to see me typing each individual one of that line by line, so just so it doesn't get very boring. You can see right here that we have this array of wins here, and within that we have another array of win with their specific indexes as 0, 1, and 2, and so forth up until 2, 4, and 6. So what we're going to be doing is that we're going to check for a win right before here. Before we make a move for the second player, we're going to check the winner. So route down here, I'm going to say const is winner and then equal to, so this is going to return wins dot sum, excuse me, that is wins dot sum, and the sum function or the sum method is gonna run a condition upon each individual element of the wins array, and it's gonna return true if only one condition is met. Okay, so I'm gonna then say win, and this row function, and down below right here I'm gonna add another method for this one, which is the every method, and every method is going to return true if all the conditions are met, and if at least one is false, it's not gonna return true. Okay, so I'm gonna say I, which stands for the index of obviously, so cells of I, and we are checking if all of those contains the same class as the current class. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy that out, paste it right here, and down below right here I'm gonna say is winner. So if it is true, means that if any of the cell combination is true, as we stated right here with the condition, then we're gonna get this message right here stating that message.inner text, and that's equal to, then right here I believe we need to say current excuse me, this is a $, current turn 1. There we go, and then add 3 exclamation mark at the very end of that. Also make sure to add return right here in order to prevent this function from going any further after this else if condition. In this case, if this is met, we're going to return, because we don't want this message.inner text to be overwritten by this one right here. So it's going to stop right here. So let's just go back in here and check that out if we didn't make any mistake. Let's just make a win. There we go. It says that player 1 has won the game. And from what you saw in the demo, you saw that if I make a win, you can see that all these cells are highlighted, and after 2 seconds this overlay is going to pop up with a voice or an audio attached to that. So we're going to add all of those step by step. And now the next step is that we're going to add a highlight class for all these cells in here. So I'm just going to go back right here. You saw that in here we are checking the win, and the way we can do that is going to set this to res. We're going to store it in here and checking if it is true. Okay, if it returned true, in that case that it could be any of these right here, we're going to store it into another variable, and I'll call that as one array. Okay, let's just create this way. For now it's undefined, and then down below right here we're going to set that one array to be equal to win. Okay, make sure it's not equal to res, it's equal to win. In this case win, that could be any of these arrays right here. Okay, so if that's true, then we also need to return that as well. And then down below right here, where is it? There we go. And then in here I'm gonna get that one array dot for each. Okay, let's just make sure we are not making any mistakes. Cells of I dot class list dot add the class of highlight. We haven't yet created it, I believe, so I'm just gonna copy that out, go to style.css all the way down up until here, just paste that in and set a background color for this one of light blue, and then save it. And if I just go back right here, there we go, it says player 1 has won the game, and then also you can see that all these cells are highlighted as well. And now there's one more thing to handle as we are going further. There are a lot of other challenges. As you can see, I can still hover. This should be prevented, and then additionally I can still click in here, which is not what we want. Let's just refresh. I doubt I made a mistake. Okay, the turns are swapped. Okay, once the player 1 has won, we should actually stop the game. Yeah, there it is. Let's just go back right here into script.js. When we added the class of highlight, we're gonna get all these cells. Again, I'm gonna say cells dot for each one of those cells. I'm gonna hook an event listener to that. Excuse me, it's gonna be like cell.style.cursor, and set that to be not dash allowed. Simple as that. And that also we need to remove the event listeners from there too. So I'm gonna say cell.remove event listeners. In this case, the mouse enter, which was hover in. Duplicate it down below. This was mouse leave, and this is for the hover out. Okay, save it, and then just go back. Let's just make another win here. There it is. And now, whoops, I still can click here. We also need to remove that class of, that event of click here, set this to action. There we go. Let's just go back, make another win. Okay, we cannot click and we cannot hover as well. So basically now the player 1 has won the game, and that's all of it. Let's just refresh and do another real quick check just to make sure everything is working fine. Yeah. All right, so we did it up until this point, and now the next step is that we also want to make sure that when there is a tie, when neither of the player is a winner, then in that case we need to handle that as well. So that's gonna happen only if all of these cells have two classes. In this case, let's just check this real quick into inspect section right here. So you can see that all of these cells, they have two class, the ones that are already filled. It's going to be a circle and a cross, okay, not the highlight one just yet. So the way we can handle that is just right here in the else section. I'm going to create another variable. Let's just call that as race for now, and then here I'm going to say cells dot every one of these cell. Let's just say cell dot class list. It's going to return cell dot class list dot length, and check it if it is equal to 2. Okay, if res, if that is set to true, then we're gonna say message dot inner text and set this one to be, no, we don't need this one. You can simply say it is a tie, and then save it. Make sure to also return this from here as well, and we might also probably want to copy all these out of there, just paste them right here, and okay, let's just make a tie right now. Okay, let's just see. Oops, I made a mistake. And the console, it says cells.every is not a function. Gotta go back right here. Let's check that real quick. Which line was that? 46. Okay, so I believe it is because, let's just try this and then save it, go back. Okay, the terms are swapped. Beautiful. Let's just make a tie. There we go. So we did successfully. Okay, now you can see there is no winner right here, and it states right here it is a tie. Great. I'm also gonna close this. What's this error here? Runtime that. Okay, so that's not concerning our application. Okay, so there it is. It states that it is a tie, and also we added these other event listeners right here. I know that right now you might be saying that it is not dry. We can probably move and copy all these out and create another function, wrap that in there and call that basically right here to keep it all dry. And now you can see that we cannot hover and we cannot click too. Okay, that's handled very nice. And the very last thing that we have to do is just to highlight them. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back right here, and the way we can do that is simply saying cell dot class list dot add the class of highlight. Okay, save it. Let's just make another win, a tie or draw right here. So let's see. There we go. Here's a tie, and also all of these cells are highlighted as well. Yeah, that's cool. All right, so we did it up until this point, and now let's also add that overlay as well. Play the audios, play with the restart button and the quit button, and we are done with our application. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back in here, and then right at the very top I'm also gonna get the overlay as well. That's document.getElement by ID, of the overlay. And also we're gonna get that restart button too. That's document.getElement by ID of button dash restart. And then we're gonna also get that quit button too. That's document.getElement by ID of button dash quit. Okay, great. So we want this overlay to pop up or shows up itself only when there is a win or when there is a draw. So that could be basically somewhere right here. Okay, so I'm gonna say overlay.classList.add the class of active. As you saw earlier in the style.css, the class of active is gonna add a maximum height of 100 vertical height because initially it was like 0 pixels. So I'm just gonna go back into there, whoops, and then just copy this out of there. Let's just also paste that right here as well. So let's see, there it is. So it shows up very fast, and what we want to do is just to show this actually after 2 seconds. Okay, so I just need to wrap both of these. Let's just cut this off from there. I'm gonna create another function. Let's call that set timeout. So basically after 2000 milliseconds, we're gonna add the class of overlay and then just copy this out of there and simply paste it right here. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of code refactor as well. Let's just make sure that it is working just nice. 2 seconds, there we go. All right, so it is showing up very nice. Let's just also create another function and let's call this as reset. So basically what this function is going to do, so we need to actually copy all these out of there, copy them, and then just paste them right here. Okay, there is one more thing right at this place, that we have cell.classList.add the class of highlight, and then all 4 of these are identical, so I'm just gonna remove these from there, and similarly the set timeout from there as well. Whoops, excuse me, I just need to actually remove these out, keep this cell, this one, and also remove set timeout from there as well. Let's also remove this one from here, and simply down below right here I'm gonna call the function of reset. Okay, and then right here as well I'm gonna call reset. Yeah, okay, so I didn't come up with a good function name. Let's just check that real quick. It is a win, game over. Okay, so I believe this is working. Yeah, I forgot to, sorry for that. Yeah, it is working just nice. Yeah, and now we also need to do one more thing in here. I remembered that I didn't keep this part clean in here, so I'm just gonna create another function and call that as isWinner, and then I'm gonna also cut this off from here. Let's just close this out from clean that, and then isWinner, and then pass in the current class from within there, and then we're gonna create this function right here, isWinner, and it's gonna take the current class, and down below right here we're gonna paste all what we had there, and we're gonna make sure that we're gonna return that, and then we're gonna copy that and paste it right here. So this is just gonna get this one from there and check for if it does contains that into there. Check the winner. Let's make another win here. There we go, player 2 has won, and there it is. All right, so we refactored the code a little bit, so now it is kind of looking a little bit nice. And now we also need to add a little bit of functionality for the restart button and also for the quit button. Then we also need to add those audios as well. Okay, let's first deal with the restart button and quit button. So down below right here I'm gonna say restart.add add event listener. In case I click there, then I'm gonna call this restart function, and then down below right here, let's just create that function, restart. So basically what is this gonna do is that this is gonna call this, let me actually collapse all these out. This is gonna first call this class of function of reset. Okay, if I even do this, then it's also gonna call this set time out as well with it. So let's just actually copy all these out of there and then paste it right here. So this restart function is going to basically set everything fresh or reverse everything. And then down below right here, message.inner text, we also want to make sure that now message.inner text is to the one default that we created earlier. So it says player 1's turn. Was that something like this? Player 1's turn. Yeah. Okay. And then we also want to remove that overlay as well. So overlay.classlist.remove the class of active, which we have added that earlier right there. We also here remove the class of mouse enter and mouse leave. Actually, we can keep these two, I think. Let's just comment this out for now. And then we might also want to remove this click event listener with that function attached to it. We want to remove this because here there is a condition passed right here, this object which says that once set to true. So basically we have to first remove it and then we're gonna add that back again. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy that out and paste it right here. So now it's gonna make sure that it's clickable again. Okay, and I'm gonna also set the cell.style.cursor back to pointer. Save it. Let's just go back and try that out. Let's just see. 2 seconds. Click restart. There we go. Oh yeah, another important thing, I forgot to actually remove those classes from all of those cells as well. So cell.classlist.remove the class of cross, similarly the class of cross-hover, and down below right here we also want to remove the class of circle and circle-hover. Then we also want to remove that class of highlight that we added that earlier. Okay, let's just go back. This time this should work fine. It is a win. Player 1 has won the game. I'm gonna hit restart. Okay, we don't have those hover classes right here. So basically instead of removing them, we just gonna say add event listener. Yep, first time comment those out. So add event listener, save it. And now let's see that. Okay, make a win. Player 1 has won the game. Click restart, and then we have everything started from scratch. Player 2's turn. There we go. Player 1 has won the game again. Restart. Final one. Okay. There we go. Player 1 has won the game again. All right, so we did it. This is the restart function, and we attach all the functionality that belongs to it. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back here and then for the quit button right there. So this is the quit button. I'm gonna just copy that out of there, and then I'm gonna also create another function, event listener, say that quit button dot add event listener, and then on click I'm gonna call this function right here, which is called as quit. Okay, so this is very simple function of quit right here. This is going to get the window.close. That is it. So let's just go back. Let's just make a win again. Player 1 has won the game, and you quit that. There it is. It's closed. I'm gonna go back into index.html and rerun that. All right, restart the game. There it is. So everything seems to be normal and fine as expected. And now the final thing is that we also need to attach those audios of click and also game over audios as well. Okay, so down below right here, I'm going to create this audio tag and reference the click.mp3, set an ID of click right here, and then all the way up until here also we're going to create another audio, reference the game over.mp3, and set an ID of game over. Okay, game over. There we go. And then in script.js, we're gonna have to first get both of those. So in this case, the first one is the click audio, that's document.get element by ID of click. And then also we're gonna have this game over audio here, this document.get element by ID of the game over. There we go. And then now we just need to call these click audio and game over audio whenever we are clicking or making a move, and those are in the action function right here. Whenever we are adding the current class to the current cell that we clicked, we also want to click the click audio to be played as well. It's just simple as this. Okay, just play. And whenever there is a winner, then we're gonna call that game over audio dot play, and that's gonna also be true for this one as well. You can actually just cut this off from here and then go down below right here, actually paste it right there, because it is a common line of code for this one, and that's what both of these are gonna do. Let's just go down right here. Yeah, okay, let's just go back. There is one more thing, that right now my mic is plugged to my computer. If I click, I'm not gonna hear the voice of it, so I just have to yeah, I can hear the audio now. You can hear that too. I'm gonna restart. Okay, so I'm gonna plug it back again. Whoops. So we did it up until this point. I believe there is nothing else left. I'm gonna just do another quick refresh, make sure everything is working as expected. So player 2's turn, the hover is working nice, and we click here, player 1's turn. Let's make a win, I think, and I cannot click on there, and if I hover my mouse on that, it states that I'm not allowed, and then I'm gonna click that, it gets highlighted, player 1 has won the game. Alright everyone, so that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, turn on the bell notification for more such videos like this. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.